Welcome back, you guys. I guess when I'm in the Mustang, it's hard to do content. I work 6 days a week. It's just tough nowadays. I get out there twice a year, really, with the Mustang, race at Power Cruise twice. We do about probably 600 some laps out there, given probably the best scenarios, and race probably 150 cars, at these events. So I do have a lot of content that I'm still kind of going through, but as far as like individual YouTube stuff, like I don't really build the Mustang. I don't really want to put any more Mustang in the Mustang. I just don't have time to do another build. I want to do an F-150 next. I think it's so sick. I just don't have the time to really do it. We got rid of the Ram. We kind of stopped doing Toro rentals, and just don't have time to do that stuff, you know what I mean? So, but we are back with another video in my amazing Honda CR-V, and I want to talk about the fuel system that's in the Mustang. So we've been running this system for 2 years. It was a prototype. We're utilizing a brushless fuel pump, and we're feeding the high pressure and both rails in parallel, not in series, but in parallel. So for everyone that does not understand that, for fuel system is a in series system, right? And I guess like Arcane fuel system is in parallel, because they're feeding both fuel rails and not just one and then cross over and feed the other. So if that makes sense, if you guys are still following me here, I'm not going to speak too much about which one is better. I do have the data. I do have the data log and what fuel pressure does versus the two. And when you go from a brushed fuel pump to a brushless fuel pump, I have that data also. And I can tell you right now, the car is much, much, much happier on a parallel fed system on a brushless fuel pump. Hands down. I'm not even kidding you guys. It's 9 day different. I'm here to say I am so happy I switched, because at this event, I can't tell you how many 4 fuel system cars just did not survive this event. Keep in mind, this is a 3-mile track, all right, with turns and banked turns, with humps and dips. Fuel Slash is going to be doing all kinds of different things, and people were having dead pumps, sucking up air, going lean. I mean, it wasn't just the 4 fuel system guys. It was just anyone that had just a bucket list system just had issues out there. So I'm not saying it's just a 4 issue. It's just you got to have the right setup to do what we're doing out here, basically. But anyways, let's get home and talk about the Mustang. I want to showcase some of these things and maybe help you guys make some better choices on your fuel system and whatnot. So we're just going to get home really quick. I'm going to go over my build, showcase everything for the most part. You won't be able to see the radium bucket, but just showcase it and talk about it a little bit. And maybe you guys can make some more choices on what you guys want to run. I had good success on the 4 until I started doing this circuit racing, time attack. Not really time attack, but just road course type stuff with bank turns, humps, dips, and maybe you guys can relate, you know what I mean, and not just be a trailer queen, one hit wonder kind of person, because yeah, I'll admit the 4 fuel system definitely works for that too. Okay, so no gimmicks. We're not hiding anything. I'm really trying not to hide anything here. We're not going to showcase my nitrous, because it's not a nitrous video. Anyway, so if you guys understand how a fuel system works, right, this is my feed, and then it splits to a triple bulkhead here. So pretty cool, pretty unique fitting from Radium here. And then basically so this is dash 10 that comes up, feeds to, or splits out to dash 8. So 1, 2, 3 lines, feeds one to high pressure, and then the other 2 to the passenger and driver rail. Then it dead ends at the high pressure, and from the passenger and driver side, it kind of both come back to the regulator and then returns off the bottom, boom, back to the tank. Super, super basic. It's just basic. Okay, so no gimmicks. We're not hiding anything. I'm really trying not to hide anything here. We're not going to showcase my nitrous, because it's not a nitrous video. Anyway, so if you guys understand how a feel system works, right? This is my feed, and then it splits to a triple bulkhead here. So pretty cool, pretty unique fitting from Radium here. And then basically so this is dash 10 that comes up, feeds to, or splits out to dash 8. So 1, 2, 3 lines, feeds one to high pressure, and then the other two to the passenger and driver rail. Then it dead ends at the high pressure, and from the passenger and driver side, it kind of both come back to the regulator and then returns off the bottom, boom, back to the tank. Super, super basic. It's just basic. So you will need to mount the brushless fuel pump controller in the back somewhere, somehow. This is where I kind of have it mounted. And then off the top there, I mean, we got our vacuum block here to make things easy for us. I highly recommend getting a vacuum block rather than keeping that crazy fitting that sits right there. That thing's junk. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. We're on one DW810 brushless fuel pump. And it comes with a controller. So with brushless fuel pumps, they pretty much all need a controller because it has a high or a low and high setting. So we trigger the high setting with the hop switch. I know a lot of people are going to say, we hate the hop switch, but I mean, honestly, for 2 years straight, it really hasn't been that bad. So we do use the hop switch to trigger the high setting here. It works pretty good. And we get better fuel mileage running the brushless fuel pump, believe it or not. So rather than running like all your Hellcat pumps or, your 465s, whatever, 270s, whatever you guys want to call it, 285s, 525s, Hellkeezy pumps as a primary, and then when you go into boost, your second or third or both kick on. We just run in a little hop switch to kick on the high setting. So the actual physical dimension of the fuel pump is actually smaller than your typical Walbro, if you guys didn't know. So for $5.99, yes, it is initially more expensive, but I mean, when you have a dead pump, chasing a dead pump is just no fun, believe me. So I'm not saying the fuel system does not work. I'm not saying it's junk and we should never ever use it. And I'm not saying that going to like Arcane is junk and no one should ever use it. I think both are fairly good for what they do. Both will supply enough fuel for this Mustang, a stock motor Mustang. It's just, you really only need two 465s to feed 1,000 wheels. So guys that are running triple 525s for 1,000 wheel, like that's crazy bananas, overkill. You don't need that much. And if you did, you just throw in another 465. So don't waste your money on Hellcat pumps. I think the quality is even worse on those, honestly, than running 465s. But moving on about the 4 versus custom, everyone's going to recommend 4. For me, it worked fine, like I said, but when you start doing circuit racing or track or road course stuff with bank turns, dips, humps, bumps, going over stuff, and trying to go wide open throttle, I mean, you're going to get some fuel slosh in there. Your car is going to probably lean out in one of these turns. So we see that a lot with the RS3 guys too. Their fuel system, their 1,000-wheel Dodge guys, after you do the first hit and you go down, and then you turn that bank turn, and then you go down the big stretch, they always kind of lean out there. The IS300 guy, he took that turn, and he leaned out also, hit a safety. That's why I beat him there. And that wasn't like a crazy 100-mile-an-hour bank turn. That was just a simple half tank, just slowly easing into it, that turn, and then we're going for wide open throttle. So I've had all sorts of issues like that too myself, and I was like, I need to get something because I'm tired of pitting every 2-3 laps to get more fuel to keep this thing full so I can rip around the track. It's a 10-turn track. I get it. We just rambling on and talking, but for a real street car that can just do it all, I just recommend everyone get a bucket system. Seriously, just get a bucket system. GT500 guys have it. I mean, OEM has it. I'm not saying that you don't need it, but definitely look at what you're trying to do with the car and then pick a fuel system then. If you're trying to do road course type stuff, you're getting crazy around the hills, the turns, the mountains, anything you just like taking turns, I highly recommend a bucketed system. And honestly, you could still run the 4 stuff. You just got to change the bucket. It all comes down to the bucket. If you guys understand what a fuel system is, I mean, it's just dash 10 line. Dash 10 feed, 8 return. If you can get past that, then you know how to feed both fuel rails and your high pressure. It's nothing too crazy. You could feed this however you want. I mean, there's so many fuel systems out there. It's not, Ford doesn't make the best fuel lines out there anyways. Like, these are all pretty much the same manufacturers, all relabeled, rebranded for the most part. AN fittings are AN fittings. Obviously, we're not buying Amazon AN fittings or, Temu or AN fittings. It's just, we're buying some good stuff. I think FLF is pretty good, respectable brand. Radium is pretty good, respectable brand. I mean, you can definitely just pick up the fitting and tell if it's good or bad. But, so, know what you're going to do with the car. I definitely recommend that. Knowing what you're going to do with the car for sure. I mean, if you don't know, ask someone. And I get it. People are going to say whatever they want to say about the Ford fuel system. We had tons and tons of issues with fuel temps spiking up to 150, 160 degrees. And you're probably wondering, how in the hell did we get it up that high in the first place? Well, when you drive the car for 8 hours straight on a return system, you're going to get 150, 160 plus degrees running Hellcat pumps. I mean, those things just run hot and run hot and just freaking run hot. So with running hot, it just prematurely kills your fuel pumps. And then ultimately, that's why we have so much black material in that filter. So every year, before every event, maybe even during the events, we would clean it out and just be jet black. Now, knowing that a fuel pump was crapping out or going to crap out. So just keep that in mind, you guys. If you guys are running for extensive, long periods of times, those brush pumps, they just do not like it. At least from my understanding. I'm no real expert, but I think I've killed enough pumps and seen enough brush material in the filter down there to know, we're just killing these pumps doing what we're doing. And someone please correct me. Or if anyone knows, if fuel temps up in 150, 160 degrees has a correlation to prematurely killing fuel pumps, please let me know. Please do tell me. I don't know enough people that actually monitor fuel temps to really help me out here. And Ford kind of just left me in the dark when we were emailing back and forth. They were just like, we don't have anyone that does what you do on road course stuff. No one drives their car on a road course for 8 hours straight with our fuel system. And ultimately, they're like, we've never had anyone have a fuel system failure or pump failure doing what you're doing. So let us know what you find and report back. And ultimately, they sent me out 10 pumps and just have at it. Let us know. I just didn't want to deal with none of that. So we went and brushed this fuel pump, and ever since then, it's just been great. So that's my little story. We can get way, way, way more into it if you guys really want to, but I have the data and research, and I highly, highly recommend you guys feed your system in parallel and get yourself a brushless fuel pump. You don't have a lot of the high horsepower GTR guys and Viper guys run brushless fuel pumps. Your favorite Brett LaSala runs a brushless fuel pump. All the crazy drag and drive guys run a brushless fuel pump. I'm not saying you can't run a Ford fuel system with triple 525s, and get yourself 5 hours down the road, on 8 miles a gallon. I'm not saying you can't do it, but I've definitely done it. And I don't recommend guys going for long periods of time under half a tank on 525s. You'll see the fuel temp skyrocket, and you'll be like, yeah, this works out great. Yeah, I got to the gas station, eighth tank left, quarter tank left, still driving 2-3 hours. Fuel temp be 150, 60, 170 degrees. You finally get some gas. You go out there, finally get to your place, run your buddy, hit boost, and it just fuel cuts like crazy. You're like, oh my gosh, I got a dead fuel pump. Well, yeah, duh. So that's just been my excuse. We actually drive this freaking thing a lot. And let me tell you, if you've never driven 8 hours straight on a 3-mile track, come on. It's an insane event out there. And so please, if anyone else has any more experience in fuel system stuff, please tell me if you guys have seen a correlation between 150, 160 degrees in fuel temp and prematurely killing brushed fuel pumps. So let me know that too. That's just the basic rundown. There's nothing crazy. You guys been staring at my fuel system here, my engine bay for 10 whole minutes here. I really don't have nothing crazy in here. It's just, if you know what you're looking at, you know what you're looking at. It's nothing's crazy. It could be a little cleaner. It could be, but it works. It's just basic ESS, nitrous ESS. Peace out.